With fraud making up over 40% of all the crimes in the UK and only 1 in 1,000 cases ending up in a conviction, is more important than ever to help protect yourself from scammers.
Yeah, and with that, worries that scams are only set to increase and become more sophisticated. What can we do to keep our money and all of our details safe?
Yeah, scam expert Nick Stapleton joins us now.
Morning, Nick.
Nick, I mean, it feels like we are living in a world where we've constantly got to be aware now of these scams. They are getting so sophisticated. I just can't get my head around some of them sometimes. And, you know, these are not just individuals anymore. These are massive companies. But how long have you been doing this for now, Nick? And what drew you into it?
So I've been investigating the world of scams and fraud, either by doing undercover inside companies who are trying to steal people's money, or now by doing this brand of kind of ethical hacking and investigative journalism, essentially for about the last 11 years.
Right.
And it's made it very clear to me that there's one thing that all of us need to do, and it's actually sort of clue ourselves up about this and really learn how to protect ourselves. Because unfortunately, as that 1 in every 1,000 conviction rate shows, this is a really complicated problem for the authorities to solve, and there isn't really anybody else who's going to stop you from getting scammed or look after you. You need to do it yourself.
What do we need to watch out for, Nick? Because 1 minute it's, excuse me, it's the dodgy text messages you get, click on this link, it could be an email. Now we're going into the realms of phone calls being made, people answering their phones, giving their details over the phone because they're claiming it's the bank. They're so sophisticated, like Joseph said, a lot more people that think they're savvy to this are falling for it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think there's been a huge change in the kind of people who are targeted by this kind of thing. Yeah. I think most of us in the UK tend to think, oh, this is vulnerable, often elderly members of our population who are being targeted by scams. That, I'm afraid, is simply not true. If you look at the statistics behind scams at the moment, it's actually 16 to 34-year-olds who are being targeted the most and who are actually losing the most money as well. And when you think about it, that does make sense. 16 to 34-year-olds are much more likely to be better connected to the internet, for example, and that makes them quicker to defraud. They might also be in more competent control of some kind of digital finances, like online banking, whereas somebody who is in their 70s or their 80s may require, for example, a trip to the bank to be able to actually steal their money. So if you're a very clever scammer and you can work out how to make someone who's 16 to 34 give you their money, it's much easier to take it than it is from someone who's more elderly.
So you've been doing this for 11 years. So from when you started out to now, how sophisticated has this become?
It's completely changed, I would say. So obviously, there have always been companies that are just set up for the sole purpose of trying to scam people out of money. But what's changed, particularly since the pandemic, is that this is now a global thing. And it's not just people in the UK, companies in the UK who are trying to take your money. It is large businesses all over the world, often with hundreds of employees, their own IT departments, their own HR, running a payroll, who are doing a bit of legitimate business, but then have scammers working in that same building, and they're using that to launder the money that they make from scams so that no one can basically track them down. Makes the authorities' job much harder. And that means that the scale of scams and fraud has just massively exploded since the pandemic, particularly.
But there's a lot of money behind this, isn't there? This isn't just someone sat in a room ringing up Brenda going, give me your bank details. It's proper full-scale operations. So obviously you say it's quite difficult for these people to be tracked down, it's difficult for them to be convicted, but this is a full-on organisation, isn't it? It
is, yeah. It is an industry, and that's the way I want people to think about it. I think when we think about the image of a scammer in our minds, most of us, as you say, will think of a
scary person down
hooded
the phone.
person on laptop, kind of hunched over a computer, making phone calls. That is just not the case. This country, potentially, in the last year, has lost £17 billion to scams and fraud. Ridiculous. That is more than what we spend on policing. It's 4 times what we spend on prisons. That is all money that is going out of our pockets and into, essentially, the black market, never to be seen again. Now, that is costing all of us money, not just in the actual scams themselves, but then in what banks, insurance companies, etc., charge us. And it's also costing people emotionally and psychologically.
Well, yeah.
Because, unfortunately, the results of being scammed are appalling on people's mental health. And that is a massive problem as well that we need to be thinking about.
Well, there's this, shame, if you've been scammed, you almost don't want to admit it. No. That does have a shame that comes with it. So are a lot of these crimes, are they getting reported, and have they got the infrastructure to follow these crimes up?
So they are definitely being reported, and we have evidence of just the sheer number of scams and fraud happening in this country as a result of those reports. The statistics are OK, but they're not brilliant. The problem is basically that the authorities trying to actually track down scammers have got an incredibly difficult job because of the way the internet has changed the scammers' ability to take our money. It's very easy now to be a scammer and be totally anonymous, in a completely different country. Say, for example, you got scammed of £2,000. That could be a huge amount of money to you personally. So your expectation would be that if you go to the police and report that, they're going to be able to do something about it and they're going to track down that individual. But if that person's in another country, the police are going to need to go and do some kind of international collaboration with authorities in another country. They're going to have to do a huge paper trail from bank to bank to bank to bank of all the money going back to this other place.
It's ridiculous.
Realistically, that's a lot of resources. It's probably not going to happen.
No. So what would you say is the best thing that we could do to not only just keep our money safe, but our personal details and all of the stuff that we really should be keeping to ourselves?
So my general rule is basically anything that comes out of the blue, just assume it's a scam until proven otherwise.
Right.
And verify, 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 verify. Get out there and educate yourself about the current scams that are going around and how you can protect yourself from. Be proactive about this, essentially. Don't just sit at home thinking, oh, this happens to other people, I'm going to be fine, I'm too clever, I'm too clued up.
Yeah.
The right scam on the wrong day can catch any of us, me included. And being on top of the information that's there is going to be key to making sure it doesn't happen to you.
So you're taking your Beat the Scammers on a live tour, and so people will be able to work out on how to protect themselves. Where are you starting off from, Nick?
That's right. So Stafford in February next year, and we're doing a sort of loop of the UK, and it's going to go right through to March 2025. And yeah, it's a tour that is going to take people on this journey through the world of scams and frauds. So hopefully that we can better understand exactly how this industry works. We're going to talk about current scams. We're going to talk about the weird little specialisms that certain parts of the world have acquired in the world of scams and fraud. But crucially also, we're going to test people.
Yeah.
And there's a thing that nobody knows about How to Beat Scammers tour yet, which is that it's actually also a book. So I am writing a self-help book, which is going to accompany the tour. And it's going to be like your suit of armour against scams and fraud, basically. A compendium, like a book with everything about current scams. You can look through it, read it, hopefully learn about almost every scam that's out there and tool yourself up to fight back, basically, and try and put scammers out of business.
Well, you say, obviously, you're going to be testing people. We were sitting there this morning, and you've already said it, sat on this sofa, oh, it's not going to happen to me, and stuff like that. You've prepared a little test for us to see if we can work out if this is real or fake.
Yes, quite right. I have brought along some scam or legit sort of images for us to try out. So there's
that could be the new This Morning game, scam or legit.
Scam or legit. So we've got some texts first of all. So I've got two texts there, both of which claim to come from NatWest. Have a little look and tell me which one you think might be the real one.
The cancer suspension. Suspicious login at 7%.
That one's this one is the real one. Our security team have tried to contact you regarding an online account login via that one's the real one, I think.
I'm sorry to tell you, Josie, you're wrong.
What the? Oh no!
That one's the scam.
You scammed.
And this one is the legit one. And I think it's doubly difficult to tell, partly because it's very easy for scammers to effectively spoof the name of the person that the text is coming from. So if you look, it's capitalised on the scam side, and on the actual real one, it's not capitalised at all, which I found very strange. Who knows why that happened? But this real one is saying to you that you've had some dodgy transactions and they've blocked your card, basically, and that they're going to contact you on this specific number. So obviously, you would then get a text from your bank saying these transactions have happened. If this wasn't you, press Y. Exactly.
Plus, also with that first one, that's telling you to go to a link.
Exactly, Ryland. That is it. So the link is the clue that that's a scam. Never be clicking through on these links that come in unsolicited messages like that, even if you do think it's your bank. And if you're not sure, basically just give your bank a call, talk to them about it.
We got any more?
No.
Yes, we do. We've got an email as well.
Oh, there you are.
There's a picture of me. So this is emails from a big Chinese online shop called Shein. And on the left there is one. And on the right, there is another.
Oh, okay, they're two different ones.
Again, which one do you think is which? So
it's a Shane hurry up, number of prizes everyone is limited. Right, so the one on the right is giving hurry up now, do it now, which is hurry up, the number of prizes to be won is limited, confirm now. So that's sort of like persuading you, oh, I better press it beforehand. Whereas the one on the left is you're only one click away. So I'd say the one on the left's real and the one on the right's a bit hurry up and press me.
He's pretty good at this.
God, you are very good.
Going on tour in February.
So Ryland's right. The one on the left is the legit email and the one on the right is indeed a scam. And it's actually trying to get you to go and do this kind of like a survey which will then lead to you putting personal information in at the end in order to get a prize. So it's just an information gathering exercise by scammers. The first one is essentially just an email from them confirming that you've joined as a member.
And I know it sounds silly as well, but like the overlay on that of like the phone and things like that, you're losing the text in there. That would never come out from a company where it's like customer feedback as always, blah, blah, blah.
You make a good point. You make a good point. So scammers obviously not quite as good at laying out emails as real companies are. So that would also be a giveaway.
I would definitely. I would not know the difference whatsoever.
It can be really, really difficult. And I think this last one's really interesting as well because this is such a common scam.
Okay.
So these are called blue screen of deaths. They're error messages that you get on a Windows computer very, very commonly. If something's gone very wrong, screen goes totally blue.
I think I know this one anyway.
You think you know which one's which?
I think the one on the right's the real one because it's saying Control-Delete to restart, which is definitely the formula to restart your computer. This one here is saying you're infected with many Trojans, firewalls at 5%. It's like scaremongering again.
Exactly, spot on. It's trying to get you to do something as well. It's trying to panic you into doing something you shouldn't do, which is basically to call a number. Whereas the one on the right's just saying, something bad's happened, but don't worry, just press this and everything's going to be OK.
Yeah.
So it's the slightly kind of alarmist tone of that one on the left that gives it away, as well as this number that's come out that's saying, call our certified technicians on this. No, don't
Plus,
do it.
that looks like a pop-up. The one on the left. That looks very pop-up-y that you just get when you go on the internet.
I'm glad to see you're on top of this, Ron.
I'm actually the one behind it. No, I'm joking. It's not me. I promise you, it's not me. It's not me. But I love all that.
I'm really shocked here because I thought I'd be really good at this and every single one of them would have scammed me. So that is a bit of a worry.
Well, it's really important to engage with this stuff. And I think, as you said before, there is this kind of shame around it, which is just it's so upsetting because, and this is the thing I say that kind of annoys people the most. Don't say, how could people be so stupid? Don't say, how can people be so gullible? Because you are contributing to people feeling that shame and not wanting to engage with the information that's out there. We don't victim blame. That's not a thing that we do in our society anymore. And yet with scams, it's still happening. Yeah. Why is that the case? It's completely unacceptable and I really wish people would stop doing it.
OK, well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Yeah,
you do look like your dad.
Oh, thank you.
You do look like
I'll take that as a compliment. From here upwards,
you are like him, yeah.
Dad's size. Nick, good luck with the tour. Good luck with the book.
Yeah.
Enjoy it all. And thanks for teaching us how to avoid scams.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.